thank you for granting me the time, the breath, and the sacred space to speak. I come to you tonight not just as a messenger, not just as an advocate, but as a witness. I have seen up close what happens when we dare to believe that healing can be seeded in the very soil that once tried to bury us. I have seen what happens when we ask better questions, when we choose to remember what the world tried to make us forget. So I ask you to go on a journey with me, not forward, not backward, not inward, into the memory of a place, into the breath of people, into a way of building that starts not with concrete and steel, but with culture, with care, and with the possibility of belonging. So back to where it all began, asking a different question. It was 1994, South Minneapolis, and a question hung in the air like smoke from an old fire. Why were black babies dying? But the Cultural Wellness Center, formed not of institutions, but of grandmothers, of birth workers, of breath and backbone, we asked another question. Why did the ones who lived thrive? It was a question not of deficit, but of light, not of pathology, but of possibility. And what we found was not a mystery, it was a memory. Babies who were surrounded by ritual, rhythm, elder wisdom, doulas, breast milk, and song, they lived, and more than lived, they thrived. From that knowing, we crafted the people's theory of sickness. That separation from culture, isolation from community, from self, is the root of our illness. And restoration of identity, of tradition, of relationship is the cure. The people's theory says that individualism, loss of culture, loss of community, make people sick. When we restore cultural connection, we unleash wellness, mental, physical, spiritual, and economic. We bring culture as cure and as strategy, from healthcare to education to governance to the economy and now to development. From those doorsteps and powder horns, classrooms, courtrooms, boardrooms, we carried what we had gathered, the wisdom of the people. We listened, we studied, we co-created, we transformed. This is not a process, that is a covenant. We applied this to education. We asked, what does it take for black children to thrive in school, not just avoid failure? We asked what it would take for our children not just to avoid failure, but to dance with dignity through the halls of their schools. And the answer was never just grades or grit. It was rites of passage. It was knowing who they were, whose they were, and who they were becoming. In St. Paul and North Minneapolis, on Lake Street and beyond, we built pathways where there were once only walls. Food literacy, financial literacy, urban farming, apprenticeships, the restoration of kinship. We applied the same model to civic engagement in Ramsey County through Coochie Chagalia 2. We helped reclaim public policy as a shared space, putting black community voices at the center of decision making. Today, departments across the county, from health to housing, routinely integrate community feedback into their budgets and their policies. This isn't outreach, this is power sharing. And those chambers of government, we didn't knock politely, we entered and we rearranged the furniture. Coochie Chagalia became a reclamation of policy as a shared space, a return to the people's voice. And then we asked again, that sacred question, what would it mean for black people to experience not just survival, but economic mobility? At our community health hub, 170 lives rose. From 13, their lives rose, their median income rose from $13,000 to $41,000 annual income. Not because we handed out money, but because we believed in the burdens already there. We coached, we connected, we reminded, and the people rose. From bricks to belonging, real estate as public health. And so we arrived at Dreamland on 38th, but we did not stumble there. We were pulled by the haunting repetition of the same story. Developments that looked like progress, but tasted like ash. Pretty buildings, hollow lives. Gentrification disguised as opportunity. Displacement dressed in equity reports. We said no. We asked, what if the built environment could be a vessel for healing? What if the building could remember the people? And so Dreamland was born, not as an answer, but as a declaration. A healing house where doulas and Reiki workers, Reiki healers work and launch. A cultural archive where children and elders meet across time to remember where youth and elders alike can reach their own history. And the histories of Somali, Hmong, Jewish, Muslim, Latino neighbors can find each other. A gathering place where songs are sung, meals are shared, futures are imagined, where rites of passage, business coaching, wellness classes, and shared meals all live under one roof. A business incubator for cultural health practitioners rooted in legacy, cultural epistemology, and a vision of the body connected in health as our nature, building businesses. Dreamland will welcome 5,000 souls per year, birth 60 jobs, nurture dozens of Black-owned businesses, and still it will never forget its origin, culture, community, and care. Within this is the principles that guide us. We don't do development the way that textbooks say. We do it the way our ancestors prayed, the way our grandmothers organized, the way our stories demand. People are agents of their own well-being. We do not come to save them. We come to unlock what was already sacred. Right. Culture is not decorative. It is data. It is destiny. And when measured rightly, it delivers health, wealth, and wisdom. Development must prove its worth to the people within a mile of the development. If the people next door are no better off, the project has failed. 2% of every budget goes to human capital. We don't fund buildings without funding the people who breathe life into them. Ownership and belonging are not perks, they are the point. Because no one fights harder for a place than the people who feel they belong to it. When people have a stake in a place, they fight for it, they grow with it. That is not real estate, it is public health infrastructure disguised as a building. This is a call for us to remember, a call for you to invest. The Cultural Wellness Center is not new. For 3 decades, we have shaped leaders, seeded institutions, midwife change. The leaders Minnesota needs are already here. Many are shaped by the Cultural Wellness Center. Many of them are you. Now is the moment to scale that work. Dreamland on 38 is shovel ready. $7.5 million has already been raised, committed. We need your investment to close the $4.5 million gap and to break ground in 2025. We are asking to close this gap. For Elder Atune, this is not charity. This is reparation. This is restoration. This is regional renewal rooted in Black brilliance and cultural clarity. So I ask you to stand with us, invest in Dreamland, invest in our community-rooted development, invest in the region's only public health real estate model designed by and for the people who carried the heaviest burdens and who now deserve the highest returns. We are not building a building, we are building a future, a sanctuary, a story, a Dreamland. Our update for you is that we do have a plan to move forward and break ground within the next 6 months. One of our team members from Element is here. The Cultural Wellness Center is doing big boy stuff in terms of finance. We have a strategy to move forward. We will close the gap in the process. The elements of the building that you need to know, we talked about, is this self-study center. In partnership with Minnesota Historical Society, what we're trying to do is launch what we're talking about as an outpost, where community members can have access to their data. And if you've never been there, they have your people's history there. We're going to have connections to the Smithsonian, to the National Network of African American Museums around the country so that we can do that work. And we will connect young people to the most important trove of history, their elders. They will be doing self-study accordingly. We're going to have a cultural health practices center there where in partnership with Northwestern University, we will be identifying talent in the community. So within that training, they will be building careers where they will make $60,000 to $100,000 a year. We have invited, and we will share this soon. This is new to some of our team members. We have entered into a relationship with Marshall's Books and Music. Anybody know that name? It is the oldest Black-owned bookstore in America, probably in the Northern Hemisphere, in Jackson, Mississippi. And the family is from Minneapolis. They grew up on 42nd and 5th. And so we are planting the seeds. And we invite you to come with us.